Welcome back to your morning drive. Thank you for being here. I am Logan, your host with the most, coming to you from the Fireworks studio in Marietta, Georgia. Thank you to Fireworks for hosting us today. They are a creative co-working space dedicated to uplifting and supporting local community entrepreneurs and everyone in between. If you want to try them, if you are a entrepreneur, a solopreneur, if you're working at home all the time and you know what? I want to get out of the house. I want to get away from my kids, my dog, my wife, my husband, whoever. If you want to get away from them, you want to take a break and go to a nice, cool place, go to Fireworks. Come see the space, meet the staff, tell them that Logan sent you from your morning drive, and they will hook you up with a free day pass so that you can try the space in their common areas for free. Just tell them Logan sent you, or when you book on their website, just use code DRIVE and you'll get that free day pass benefit. So check them out. Before we dive in, whatever platform you're on right now, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, any of those platforms, go ahead and hit the follow button, the subscribe button, so that anytime I drop a cool conversation with a cool individual, you get it notified to your phone and you'll never miss a beat. So go ahead and do that on whatever platform. Additionally, on those platforms, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, leave a thumbs up, a comment, whatever you want to do to support and to get notified anytime episodes come out. And then lastly, on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, follow at Your Morning Drive. If you want merch, we recently announced a t-shirt and a hat for Your Morning Drive. So if you're interested in that, go to hammerheadcreations.com/shop to get yours. So thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. My guest today is the co-founder of Southern Cove, a small business known for its dedication to quality and community values. He's a proud Cartersville native, also serves as a sitting councilman for the city of Euharlee, bringing leadership and a commitment to positive change for his hometown. His strong Christian faith guides his personal and professional life. Before returning to Cartersville, he lived in Hollywood. That's right, Hollywood, where he worked as an actor, gaining unique experiences that have shaped his perspective. Today, he balances his business, public service, and faith with a passion for improving the lives of those around him. Please welcome my new friend, Jayson Frederick.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
This is so neat.
Yeah.
First of all, what a cool, well, thanks for having me.
Sure. Thank you for doing this, man.
No, this is neat. This is, what a blessing to be here. What a cool space. You know, I walked into Fireworks, and first thing I noticed that really caught my eye was the vintage Apple pictures on the wall for Macintosh back in the day. And I'm like, how cool. What a,
blast from the past.
Yeah. So Steve Jobs was one of those folks that was such an innovator and such a thinker. And that whole slogan, think different, kind of that, it hits me a little, in a good spot. And I love it. This is comfortable. I like this chair. I'm swiveling. This is good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So if you're watching this on YouTube and I keep twitching, it's because I can swivel in this fun chair.
We just gutted this room and kind of redid it. It used to have a different look and feel to it completely.
Really?
I mean, yeah. So you'd picture that there was two plastic chairs.
Okay.
Not as comfortable. Yeah. Big table that all of the equipment and everything sat on. There was arms, that were attached to the table that had the microphone attached to them like that. But, at the beginning of the year, they were like, hey, how can we, because I am the main user of this space.
Yeah.
They said, how can we make this more beneficial and attractive to modern podcasters? And I was like, well, for one, the big comfy chairs is a huge thing right now. Like, you go to a studio, you expect there to be big comfy chairs. And then, no offense, but the previous iteration of the studio, the chairs were not very comfortable. They were not very accommodating to people of all shapes and sizes. I get people from all kinds of walks of life in here, so their opinions matter to me because I want to make the experience beneficial to you and everyone else who comes after you.
Sure.
So when they asked me for feedback, I was like, yeah, I got some feedback. And like 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, by the way, we changed the studio. And I was like, what? Because I had taken a break in April because I was so built up on recordings. I have them like pre-recorded, like all the way up until like July at that point. So I'd taken a little break to kind of catch up. And they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we did everything." And I came in and they had this whole setup. They had the nice little stands. They had these C tables that were, they did it, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I have enough space in the back of my SUV. If you put one of these chairs in.
Hey man,
I got to take it home.
I'll get them to send you the link.
I don't want to buy them. It's just much easier to carry them out.
Well, maybe they have an extra one left somewhere. Maybe
these are great.
Storage room back there, so maybe we'll look.
These are good. Yeah, these are awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, dude. Also, cheers.
Cheers.
Got you a little cocktail situation.
Yeah. So good days. These are neat. You know, I was mowing the grass.
Yeah.
It was hot. So this was really delicious. So thank you for introducing me to them.
Yeah, dude.
I was surprised. Sometimes you get these and the flavor's just really not all that there. These were great. So yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, cheers. Thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I love them. That's the only reason I gave them to you is like, you know, there's so many different canned cocktails on the market now.
Yeah.
That, I mean, like you said, you open them and their branding is really cool, so you just assume that the drink's going to be really good, but sometimes it's just not. And these guys are local guys. You know, one of them's from Athens, the other co-founder's from Marietta. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow night, actually, and circle up with him because they actually sponsor the podcast as well. I advertise for them, and he gives me unlimited free good days.
Well, apparently I advertise for him now, too.
Yeah, no. They use a distributor, I'm pretty sure, that you said that you use.
Yeah, we use probably about a dozen different distributors, so I'm sure we're partnered with their distributor.
Yeah,
so I need to find out who that is because once I tried these, you know, these are
You should get them in the spot, man. And again, like, and I know you know this because you have a place in the local Cartersville community, but like people love supporting small.
Yeah.
So if you are like saying, "Hey, yeah, these good days, they're from down the street."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll get them to call you.
Please, no, do it. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
for sure. But yeah, so I guess this is a perfect time to, since we're talking about them naturally, I mean, it only makes sense to just kind of say that this show is also brought to us by Good Days Canned Cocktails. Good Days are a classic cocktail brand created in a convenient, ready-to-drink format to meet the need for a quality pre-mixed cocktail on any occasion. You can try out all of their flavors. They have a vodka cranberry that Jason's rocking. They've got a gin and juice that I'm rocking. They've also got a vodka lime, which is kind of like a house margarita taste. And then they've got a whiskey flavor for you bad boys out there. They've got a little bit stronger. I mean, these are all the same ABV, but that whiskey one is a couple percentage points higher. It's a little stronger. It's my least favorite because I am a fruity drinker at heart. Yeah. And hence why I love your trash cans. More on that later.
Yeah.
But man, it would have been cool if we filmed this at Southern Cove.
Yeah, we can always do another one.
Damn.
I know. Let's go.
All right.
Yep.
Guys, we're going to cut and we're going to be at Southern Cove in 3, 2. Oh, we're still here. Next time. That'd be really cool, though, to set up in Southern Cove when you guys are like closed or something.
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be fun.
It would be fun. And you're right down the street.
Yeah, right down the street.
Yeah.
We could do an impromptu one.
It'd be fun.
If you're bored on like a night that you have not shit going on, just be like, hey, you want to come up here and do this? Yeah, absolutely.
Fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I'm game.
All right, bet.
Good.
We just lined up a part 2.
Yep.
So
that right. So if you don't enjoy part 1, be prepared not to enjoy part 2.
If you don't like part 1, you probably won't like part 2.
Almost guaranteed.
But if you like part 1, tune in for part 2.
That's right.
You know what I've thought about? I'm just going to bounce this idea off of you right now.
Okay.
I've thought about trying to do, you know, I've been inspired by our mutual friend, Rich Brock.
Yeah,
and
Big Rich.
You know, when he does those shows at the Legion, every once in a while I'm like, man, I could do a live podcast at the Legion.
Yeah.
Invite like a guest that that enough people know their name.
Yeah.
There's one name that's local to Cartersville that I've been gunning at trying to get, but I haven't been able to get her yet. Her name is all over the place. I know you know who I'm talking about.
She's
everywhere.
She lives right down the street from me.
Does she?
Yeah, actually,
I'm trying to get her.
Actually, she's such a sweet lady. She's building a home on my street. but she lives currently a couple streets over. She's such a rock star.
I've never met her,
Big
but
heart, big heart.
I know that she's got a couple mutual friends with you and with Tim, and Tim's gonna get in here in a couple weeks too.
I'm sorry. We just spent the week together in Savannah, and how fun was that? And we were together last night hanging out, talking. One of the most genuine humans, I've ever had a pleasure to get to meet. Despite what he says, I make him better. That's the way I like to look at it. Tim, if you're listening, I make you better. You're welcome.
You know what's crazy, and this just shows I think to your point about like how like he's a good human in that. I mean, when me and my wife came up and posted up at the bar that one day, and I'd met him for the first time, and I just instantly felt comfortable.
Yeah.
And he was very welcoming, and he invited us into the conversation, and I just felt comfortable around him to the point where I usually don't invite people on the podcast like that, like willy-nilly, like I told him about it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we just booked Jayson. Why don't you come on? And he was like, okay. And I just felt instantly comfortable to the point where, like, if I saw him at the grocery store or something, I'd be like, "Hey, Tim!" Like, instead of saying, "Oh, that's that guy that we talked to at the bar."
Well, you'd never leave the grocery store if you ran into him. He'd be talking to you forever, isn't that right, Tim?
Well, then that means it'll be a good episode.
It would be.
It might be a long one.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one. Yeah, I hope you have a day or so. Him and I became really close friends, and he is my best friend. He's, such a good person to have around you. You try to surround yourself with people that inspire you, that they kind of lead you in the direction you want to go, both spiritually and, with life in general. And, the love he shows his wife, his family, God, it's inspiring. He's good to be around.
Yeah,
I don't care what anyone says about him. He's okay.
He's an all right guy.
He's gonna be okay.
He's an all right guy.
He's all right.
So, Jayson, dude, I mean, like, so tell me about yourself, man. I mean, so I try to keep the conversation very minimum before we do this because I want to know who you are genuinely through this conversation versus like asking questions I already know the answer to. So like I purposely don't do a lot of research into the people that I talk to because I want to, along with the person listening that might not know a lot about you. I mean, that maybe they know Southern Cove, but they don't know the story behind it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to know it before today. Anyway, so kind of let's rewind. So you're from Bartow County, right?
Yes.
You're from Euharlee?
No, I'm from Cartersville.
From Cartersville originally.
That's right.
And then so I mean, I know your parents because they're involved with Southern Cove, you and your dad. And
Dad's
mom
co-owner.
too. She pops in from time to time.
Yeah.
So do you have siblings? I mean, were you athletic growing up? What were you like growing up? I mean, kind of give me your little origin story.
Okay. No, this is good. This is good. I'm glad we didn't talk about this before.
Yeah, I want to know it all.
That's great. Wow.
And because Jayson, selfishly,
yeah,
this gives me an opportunity to network with people, but also I just love getting to know people.
Yeah. Well, let me take you back to 9 months before I was born.
Okay.
No, okay. Let me paint you the picture. No,
paint it.
So, my parents, I'm so blessed, man. I could not have had a better couple raising me than my mom and dad. They were 15 and 17 when they got pregnant, got married. I think my dad was like 18 when they finally had me. And my mom was, I think, 16 at that point.
Wow.
So, they were kids having a kid. And 45 years later, they're still married. And that doesn't happen usually. No, that blows my mind. So it was kind of like growing up with my parents were growing up at the same time I was growing up. They did it was a weird situation to be in because you are experiencing life for the first time and new things along with your parents that are doing it the same as you because they're so young. They didn't know it all. They didn't have the answers. And when you're growing up in that environment and you're so little and you're a kid, you don't know, they're still your parents, right? Parents are parents.
Right.
But when you look back on it, you're like, wow, they were kids.
Just figuring it out.
Yeah, they were figuring it out. My grandparents, my mom's parents, who have both passed since then, but we're a great support system for us. I remember when my mom tells a story and my dad that when my grandfather found out that my mom was pregnant, my dad had to leave town. Like he had to go hide because my grandfather had grabbed a gun and was going to look for him.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah,
Your
yeah.
grandfather
You
was
don't
like,
mess with his daughter. Yeah,
dang.
you don't knock up my mom. Yeah, so
Wow. And I
yeah.
mean, back then, I mean,
Oh,
to get, I mean, I want to say it's more common back then to have gotten married young and
yeah,
got
yeah,
had
yeah,
kids
yeah.
young, but still, I mean, it was one of those things that was like,
Ooh,
you're in high school still.
man. So, it's funny that it worked out the way it worked out to where they all became such a really loving and close-knit type
Sure.
family.
A tight unit.
Yeah, and dad didn't have to get shot, and so that was
I'm
good.
glad he didn't.
Me too. It's a big perk of mine, having dad as a business partner, and,
Yeah.
in my life. So thanks to my papa for not pulling the trigger on that.
Yeah,
Literally.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of a bit about my childhood. Now, I was the only child.
Okay. Only child.
Yeah, they stopped at me. And growing up as an only child had its perks, of course. Their Christmases are awesome. You never want for anything. It's definitely, I have 3 kids, and it's definitely much cheaper having one. I threaten my middle one all the time that I'm going to sell her off. It's just cheaper that way.
Sure.
And she gives me,
understands.
she side eyes me.
Yeah, she understands.
Yeah, she's a mess. I love her. Love them all. But they stopped at one, and the downside of that being the only child is it's lonely. On the flip of that, you get really creative, and you learn how to entertain yourself. You learn how to play with neighbors, with other kids, make friends easier, in my opinion, because I didn't have anyone to play with at home. If I wanted to have fun with another kid, I had to go out and make that friend and have fun with that kid.
Sure.
And I think that lent itself to me personality wise to be more just kind of like a puppy, like, you know what, I see you and I like you already. We're going to be friends. Let's get to know each other. Let's hang out. And it definitely made me easier in the process, and more comfortable finding and making friends. And I remember growing up in a small neighborhood. We had friends across the street. We'd play all the time. Street lights came on. It's time to go home. But I definitely had a fulfilled childhood. I had friends around me. Parents were great. Childhood was great. And I loved it. Yeah. It was good. This is the first time I've really talked about that out loud.
There you go.
Yeah. Look at
Glad
you.
that could be your first time.
Oh my, well, you were gentle. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Okay, so growing up in Cartersville,
Yeah.
which has to be wild for you considering Cartersville today
Yeah.
versus Cartersville,
Oh,
60 years ago when you were a kid.
6. Wow. There is not enough good days.
I'm playing. Even just 20 years ago, when you were a kid or a teenager, seeing Cartersville the way it was is nowhere near today.
No, things would close on Sundays,
Yeah,
and you had to plan your outings around that.
sure.
And there was strips, when I was a teenager, we would cruise back and forth. Those things are gone.
Yeah,
Even the way, kids interact today with, they can Snapchat, they can do things that we could never do growing up. We had to be there in person.
yeah,
So it's funny to see my son, who's 16, when he hangs out with his friends and, it's gaming and they're on
Yeah.
FaceTime. And I'm like, man, I had to drive to Wendy's,
Yeah.
and do the loop from like that shopping center to the Palace Car Wash and cruise the strip, or I had to go to Barrett Parkway,
yeah,
hang out at Starbucks. And
yeah.
so it's different. It is cool. Things have changed. But, with time comes change.
Sure. I hear stories like that and like stories about like my parents when they were kids, and they both grew up in small towns too. So it was like hearing them like talk about like, yeah, on Friday night after football games, we'd go to Dairy Queen
Yeah.
and just like hang out.
Yeah.
And that was like what we did. No phones in sight because they didn't exist at the time, which is crazy to think about like how today, like, we don't need to go on a soapbox about how like technology is ruining social interaction, but it's just so crazy to like walk into a restaurant and see like a whole family eating together and they're just all on their phones. But like I think that we're kind of making a comeback on it though, because I think there was a generation of parents that were like, okay, we're going to use the technology, and like we were seeing the effects of like iPad kids
Sure.
and like kids that misbehave unless they have a screen in front of them.
Yeah.
But then I think there's a new wave of parents kind of in my generation that have noticed these things that millennials had done with their kids. Not saying all millennials did this, but a lot of them did. And we're kind of like, we have several friends who are raising their babies and their kids with no screens. because they have seen the effects of, technology
Yeah.
with young kids, and how, there's a time and a place. I mean, I was a gamer as a kid too, but it was always with moderation.
Sure.
It was like, hey, if you want to go and play 30 minutes of Frogger, then you need to go outside and ride your bike for 2 hours. Or you need to go and, play kickball, pick me up basketball, something with the kids outside. It's just funny how, like, today, like you said, like, they Snapchat and they FaceTime, and and now you think about it out loud and you think, like, if they had that available to you, do you think you guys would have done it?
1,000%.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I remember when I was little, I got a toy Dick Tracy watch, because Dick Tracy had a watch you could talk on.
Wow.
And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I remember thinking back then as a kid.
Why do I know that name? Dick Tracy.
Yeah, he was kind of like a comic book detective type guy.
Okay.
But I remember thinking back then, one day, we're going to be able to see each other and talk through a screen, and not just a walkie-talkie on our wrist. It was cool. So back then, had we had that stuff, I'd have been all about it. I thought it was the coolest thing.
Have you seen that conversation online where people say, do you think that if I snapped my fingers and you went back to, let's say, the 1920s and showed and you had an iPhone with you, do you think you could take over the world?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It'd be easy.
Or
people would freak out and just kill you.
It's in the palm of your hand. You just got to run faster to freak out. But how? I haven't thought about that. Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Like, think of the stamp. Like, people always say, like, oh, if you went back in time and gave a caveman a lighter.
Right.
And, like, how he would freak out.
Oh.
But, like, imagine going back to the 20s and saying, yeah, that stock that you just bought, I'm monitoring it right now. And they'd be like,
huh?
How the hell is that possible?
Right.
They'd, like, pick your phone up and be like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, I know. That's crazy.
It is. It's so
And it
weird.
wasn't that long ago.
No.
Like,
2007 is when we got the first iPhone.
Yeah, and my first iPhone was the iPhone 3GS.
Yes.
And before, my first phone was a Nokia. I played Snake on. And I remember...
Which Snake?
Oh,
No.
man.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
know, yeah.
I know
But before I had a cell phone, I was driving. And I had a pager. I had a beeper.
Yeah.
And I had a roll of quarters my grandpa gave me. And I kept in my center console of my car. So I could call and check in with my parents from a payphone to let them know I was still okay.
Yeah.
And that was neat. Wow, things have changed.
They have, man.
Gosh, I'm old. I didn't know this was Jason's old day. Man. But no, things have changed, and it's really cool. And Cartersville's changed. There's the downtown area where we're situated. I remember growing up as a kid, wasn't somewhere you normally would congregate towards and hang out a lot. Now it's thriving and bustling, and that's the place to go hang out.
It is.
Where the restaurants there are so good. The stores there are good. And when you couple, good retail and good food and unique places like, we just had an ice cream shop, Kilwin's, open up. We got
It's open now?
Man, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I know. You got so many, I don't want to plug them all, but we got so many different businesses.
Great variety.
Yeah, it is. And you don't really have, you go to some towns and you're out of town, tourist towns, and it's like same shop sell the same stuff. You go into one store, they got the same brands as the other stores. And that always drove me crazy. So we make sure that in my shop, at least, we don't carry anything our neighbors carry if we can help it and if we know about it. We don't want you to walk in our store and find the same thing next door. Also, we don't want to compete with our neighbors because the high tide raises all ships. If it was just us there, we would fail. But if we got the eclectic, great group of businesses we have in our downtown, it brings more people in.
Yeah.
And let's stay different. I don't want to be a copy of someone else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so let's fast forward. So you went through school, and then at what point did you pack your bags and move to Hollywood?
That's funny. So when I was 5, I did my first play.
Okay.
I think at elementary school. And I thought, this is neat, like pretending, and getting laughs or whatever. So I did that, and my parents, they would keep a little book. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember I said actor, back then. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I was always intrigued by the process of everything that goes into making a production. Like even sitting around me now, the microphones, the equipment you're working, It's brilliant, and it takes a army of people to put a few seconds of footage together. So when you're seeing stuff on screen, I filmed a scene, for example, in a movie called Dumb and Dumber, or When Harry Met Lloyd, where
You were in that movie?
yeah, where I was dragging Lloyd across the schoolyard and throwing him in the trash can and kicking him down the hill. As simple as that sounds, we filmed that over and over for about 8 hours because little things would happen. Whether I would drag him and throw him in the trash can. And obviously, I'm not kicking the mess out of that trash can to instigate the roll down the hill.
Sure.
He's in there and he's going to start the roll as I kick to make it fluid. Well, maybe he would roll too soon and roll over my foot. Maybe I would, kick and he wasn't ready to roll or whatever, And then once you get that takedown, well, we got to reset and do a different angle. And then you got to hope it. So anyway, the stuff that goes into making all of the art we see, whether it's live theatrical, whether it's on TV or in cinema, there's a lot that goes into it. And that always intrigued me. I remember I went to church camp when I was probably 15 or 16. And it was in Panama City. It was called Centrifuge. And two things about that are great for a teenage boy. You love the Lord, you get to go and you get to be with a lot of people in worship. And you also love teenage girls.
Yeah.
As a teenage boy.
Yeah.
And you're on the beach.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, what
Sounds like heaven.
It was. What a cool time. And I remember I had a friend at the time. He has passed away since then, years and years and years ago. He got in an auto accident. But
sorry about that.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But we were at Centrifuge. And they were booking their entertainment for the event, the worship service, and they wanted to do a play or they wanted singers or whatever. So him and I came to him and said, hey, we have a skit we want to do for the group. And this is a huge church camp. Like there is a ton of people that come from all over the nation. But him and I were very outgoing, and we didn't care about that. We just wanted to do this skit. We thought it was pretty impactful. So they said, act it out for us. We went in a little room, we did it, and they would see if they wanted to put it on. So we did that, and they're like, yeah, you guys can do it. Well, the coolest thing happened. It was called the motorcycle skit. And it's him and I acting like we're riding a motorcycle, and we're making the funny noises. And, he's like, right turn ahead. And I'm like, right turn ahead. So we lean the right direction, left turn, we lean. Well, in one part of the skit, he tells us where to turn. I mishear it on part of the skit, and we lean the opposite ways, we wreck. And, we get up, we brush ourselves off, and, we felt pretty good for just, smacking the pavement going 80. This ain't bad, and then we realized that it took us out, and we're about, and we're walking up, we're about to be judged, and we, it killed us, the crash did. And, he's like, we discover that. And, he's like, oh, you're going to be fine. We're going to get up here and, they're going to talk to us and we're going to get into heaven and you're saved. And in my character, I'm like, what are you talking about saved? And then he starts to realize maybe he never shared Jesus with me.
Hey guys, let's talk about another partner of the podcast, Branded and Devoted Designs. Are you looking to level up your company's merch game? Your brand deserves better than boring swag. If you contact Branded and Devoted Designs, you can level up with custom hats, shirts, tumblers, mugs, and more that your customers and clients will brag about. Go to www.brandedanddevoteddesigns.com to make your brand stick out. Mention that Logan from Your Morning Drive sent you, and they will give you 10% off of your order. That's brandedanddevoteddesigns.com. Tell them Logan sent you from Your Morning Drive for 10% off your order.
And now it's too late. And I'm freaking out because I don't know what he's talking about. And he's freaking out because he's realized that he did a disservice to me while we were friends and didn't share the gospel. One of us is going to heaven, one of us isn't at that point. But it was such an emotional skit, to the point to where we're bawling on stage, we're screaming at each other, we're melting down. And I remember when that skit ended, just snapping out of character, and
being okay.
And then seeing the crowd out there just bawling, right? And I'm walking down the stairs back to my seat, and this older guy that was probably a youth group leader or a pastor with one of them that was there. All the churches would sit together all over the crowd, grab my arm as I was walking by. And he said, "You had all the guys in my group crying like babies. You should consider doing that for the rest of your life." And that hit me, and I felt like, this is something that I could do. And I really enjoy it, and I always have. So that led me to have the confidence to get an agent. And I didn't know what I didn't know. I was going to anything that said, "Hey, you want to be an actor," and learning along the way that what's a ripoff, what's not a ripoff,
Sure.
what you should pay for, what you shouldn't pay for. But I did go to one thing. And one of the rules that I learned in the industry is that you don't pay for stuff. Okay. If they're asking you for money, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting headshots or,
Sure.
building something for yourself. But this one thing was asking for like $50 a head. And you go, I think it was at the Mall of Georgia. And the money, what made me do it is I knew the money went to the American Cancer Society. So the money went to charity, a nonprofit. It was good. It wasn't going into some promoter's pocket.
Sure.
So I did it. And it was a showcase of talent. You had to prepare a monologue and get on stage. And what made it legit, besides where the money went, was the panel. The panel was all the big agents in Georgia were sitting there watching. And you had the opportunity to secure a spot in an agency and be represented. And I remember I picked the monologue from Jerry Maguire when he was fired and he took the goldfish with him, and I get on stage and I'm doing that and I'm raising Cain. I got the goldfish bag in my hand. I'm jumping off the stage. I'm beating on the agents' tables, yelling at them, having a fit because I'm walking out and I am just pissed. And I got my goldfish with me. And it was good, right? And then, tons and tons of people, they did their thing. Well, at the end, they announced I had won the whole showcase, which was crazy. And I got to pick who I wanted to represent me out of the whole panel, which was great. It blew my mind. I went in there thinking, there's no way I'm going to land any representation, much less do a halfway decent job with, God knows what kind of talents up here to being able to pick. And it was a hard choice because there were some really solid choices, but it did end up going with one who was wonderful. And from that, I landed and they were for commercial TV and film. Then I landed a print agent for modeling and stuff. And I used to be handsome when I was young. It was much easier to get that kind of stuff when you're not old like me. But when I was young, it opened up all kinds of doors and it gave me more confidence. And I remember my first commercial audition. It was for Dole Bananas. And I had to act like I was mopping a floor with headphones on, dancing in a supermarket. I didn't get it. Some other kid did. And I learned very quickly that you have to have the thickest skin and realize that the no's don't mean you're not any good. The no's just mean you weren't what they were looking for that particular project in that particular time. And I learned that throughout. I auditioned for tons of stuff throughout my life. Some I came down to neck and neck with another kid, and you never really see the other kid. They're doing their audition separate times when you're doing yours. The studio's looking at the tapes. You get calls from your agent. The VP of Universal, for example, it's down to you and one other kid. And you don't know, and then they pick the other kid or they pick you. But the feeling of being told no and still being able to feel successful comes from knowing your worth and knowing your value, knowing that it's not because I'm not any good, or it's not because this kid got this movie because he's better than me. No, that kid got that movie because that's what they wanted. And you may look at that kid, okay, he's a different nationality, or he's a different build, or maybe he has an accent, his hair colors, whatever.
Sure.
I remember an audition specifically. I was living out in LA. And I was auditioning for a movie called King of California with Michael Douglas.
Okay.
And I went, and they never give you any heads up. So, it's your agent calls you and she goes, "Hey, can you be in an audition tomorrow? Or can you be in an audition in 2 hours?" And you're like, and if you start saying no because you got stuff going on, and it's hard not to say no because you have stuff going on. Like you have a job, you got to work. If you start saying no, then they stop calling you. So yes is your best friend and you got to figure it out. So I remember using the Thomas Guide book before GPS was, iPhones and stuff. I'm driving in LA, driving in Hollywood, going to an office building and reading for King of California. I remember I was supposed to be a security guard at Costco and interacting with, I don't know if it's Michael Douglas or I think even Evan Rachel Wood was in it, maybe, if I'm not wrong. And I read for that part and they looked at me and gave me direction. They said, okay, read it again like you just overate at McDonald's and you're feeling lethargic. And the first thing you think is, I have to figure out what that means now because they're not going to wait on me. Like, how do you, what does
lethargic even mean?
I don't know. I can't spell it, Yeah, God bless public school, I'm the worst speller.
So am I.
Man.
If autocorrect didn't exist, I'd be screwed.
Oh, no, yeah, real bad.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. So me texting is a nightmare. You just got to decipher. Like, I don't know what I'm
You just figure it out.
Yeah, no, just assume it's hi and I love you. So immediately I stuck my gut out in my stomach. I pushed it out. I threw my shoulders back. I kind of acted more like I didn't care to be there and read it that way. And they said, okay, thanks. And you never know. They don't tell you anything.
Sure.
It's okay, thanks, next. So I get back in my car and I get a call from my agent about 15, 20 minutes later who said they really liked you and they want you to meet with the VP of casting for Universal tomorrow. And I think they knew that there was another kid they liked too. I'm like, cool, Yeah, so I did that.
I'll go meet with the head of casting.
Whatever.
For Universal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I went and, and read again. And the other kid was there. I got to see him. And he read. I didn't see him read, but I got to see him. He ended up getting the part. But it's fine. Because I did the same thing I did the day before the same way. I did again what they wanted to see me do again. So I did my job, but he got it. I wasn't surprised. You never get like, I never got let down that I didn't book jobs. I always assumed I wouldn't book them. That way, if I booked them, it was a surprise.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about one real quick.
Sure.
This was funny. So I grew up watching the WB network, like Dawson's Creek, and shows like that, One Tree Hill. And I remember thinking, like, one day I'm going to be on one of those shows. That is the pinnacle in TV at that point.
Sure.
It's to be on one of those shows. And I remember, I worked on Dawson's Creek as an extra just to get my feet wet, and it was fun. And then I got a call from my agent. So Dawson's Creek really saved the WB network from going down. That was a long-running show. It took that network and skyrocketed it through the stratosphere.
It was insanely popular.
It was huge.
Yeah, people talk about it to this day.
Yeah, like right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Oh, look at us. You got Katie.
Same with One Tree Hill.
Yeah.
You mentioned insanely popular.
Right. And my mom loved that show.
Yeah.
And my agent called and said, hey, you want to read for a show called One Tree Hill? But I need you in Wilmington, North Carolina tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, where's that? It's like 7 hours away. So you drive through the night.
Yeah.
When you get there and you're just tired.
Dog tired.
Oh, it's a nightmare. You don't have anywhere to sleep. Where are you going to stay?
Yeah. You're sleeping in your car.
Yeah. You're pulling in the parking lot of Screen Gym Studios and you're trying to get some rest. But I knew this was the casting company that did Dawson's Creek, that One Tree Hill, and Screen Gym Studios. Everything was filmed there. This was the East Coast Hollywood at the time. You got like Wilmington was such a magical, beautiful place where Screen Gym sat, and the show Dawson's Creek and One Tree Hill really showed off its beauty. That town. It's on the Cape Fear River. The Crow was filmed there.
Sure,
it's just a really cool place. Anyway, so I go and I read for. There was one of the main characters in the show. I read for that role, and they cast another kid. I'm like, okay, of course they did. Well, after season 1, that actor chose, I believe, from what I was understanding or told, and I could be wrong, but from what I heard, chose to go do theater or something, do something, and left the show. I don't know any details, but my agent called me back when season 2 was starting and said, hey, go reread for that part because they may be recasting it. So I show up and I reread for that part. Well, they decided not to cast it. So this is my
They
second.
decided to just kill the
Just
character
kill.
off,
Yeah. So this is
or
my
have
second
him
time going to
disappear.
North
Yeah.
Carolina. Reading for One Tree Hill, and it's the second time I've been told no. So my friend calls me, and this is not too long after that. My friend calls me. He goes, "Hey, I have an audition for One Tree Hill. Do you mind driving me to North Carolina to read for that show?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I call my agent, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm driving my buddy to go read for One Tree Hill, but if I'm making the trip up there, can you get me in to read for it too, again?" She's like, let me find out. So she calls me back. She's like, "Yeah, I got you in." So I call my friend back. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm driving you, but I'm reading too."
The same part.
Same part, yeah. He's like, "All right, whatever." You never expect to get it anyway, so
Yeah, right.
it's just like we're gonna go have fun.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Um, Went up there, and by this point, this is my third read for One Tree Hill, so I did not care.
Yeah.
Like
You were just there,
yeah,
so you're
it's
like,
gonna be fun. I'm not gonna get it.
yeah.
Like, so the role I was reading for was a character at a house party who was a sleazeball who got one of the main character females extremely inebriated, took advantage of her, and,
Sure.
dragging her out of the bathroom to the bedroom. He's going to have his way with her. She's passed out drunk. He's dragging her, making out with her. He's drunk. And it's just a house party of idiots, just doing things you probably shouldn't be doing. And so in my head, I'm thinking, this guy's a sleazeball, like big time. The kind of guy you do not want your daughter around.
Sure.
And he's drunk. And how would I act if I was that way? And I'd probably be like, "I don't care. I'm going to be loud." So I walk into the audition, and the only thing in the room is a table with the casting director sitting behind it and one single chair. And there's a camera facing me. Well, in my mind, I'm like, well, I gotta have a girl to take advantage of, someone to act off or across from, and there's no one, so I use the chair. So I walk in and I'm yelling, my lines, "Come on, Marsh, we're doing shots, wow," and then I grab this chair and I get on the floor with it, and I just start acting like it's a girl, and that chair is, perfect for that, because if the girl's in the show, drunk and incoherent,
Sure.
and not doing anything back, and I'm the one taking advantage of the situation, well, the chair's perfect, right? So I'll use that because it's not going to move. And I just get sloppy on this chair, right? And I'm loud, and I don't care. And I finish doing the audition. I get up off the floor, and they're like, "Okay, thanks." I walk out laughing, and people were looking at me when I walk out the room because they can hear through the door, and people may even commented, "You were loud," or whatever. It's fine. So I don't care. I get a phone call about an hour afterwards saying, "You got a call back." That's huge. That means you did something that sparked their interest. If you get a call back, because getting a call back is nearly impossible, and booking the job's like just pie in the sky. So I got the call back. I went back in, and she said, "Hey, can you do the same thing you did the first time again? The exact same way. Do you think you could do that?" I said, "I can try." "Sure." So I did it. And she goes, "Okay, thanks." And I leave. So we had a fun night that night. We went out and we think we hit local spots. We partied with the UNCW cheerleaders. We had a good time. And we found a place to stay. And I don't remember whose place it was, but I remember I alone had a bed to sleep in, but I don't remember where I was. It was somebody's, and it wasn't because I was drunk or anything. I don't remember, it was so long ago. I don't remember how we lined up a place to sleep, but we did. And I remember I woke up that next morning to a voicemail from my agent in Atlanta saying, "Call me." So I called my agent in Atlanta, and she said, "You booked it." And I'm like, "What? What?" And she's like, "Yeah, you booked it. I'll give you the details when you get back to Atlanta or whatever." So I get back to Atlanta, and sure enough, they had the date. I went back to North Carolina. They put me up in these beautiful suites that some of the actors live in on the Cape Fear River. And I remember riding the bus with some of the cast from those suites to set. My parents came. The coolest part about it is they let them on set. I got to go to wardrobe, pick out what I wore. And normally they do for you, but I saw this cool shirt. And I'm like, I really want to wear that shirt. And they're like, okay, if we'll make sure no one's worn it in past episodes. And if they haven't, it's yours to wear. And I was like, okay, cool. And they hadn't, so I got to pick that out. That was neat. I got my own trailer. I think they had a pair of socks in there. I don't know. Maybe you don't show up wearing socks. I don't know. I mean, I'm not wearing socks right now, but I will bring them to set.
What are those socks for?
I didn't ask. I made puppets. So I'm just talking about stuff. We're gonna do great. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. So we the cool thing, my parents got to come, and they got to go in Screen Gem Studios and sit in the actors' chairs and watch the monitors behind the directors and see their son act through monitors.
That's really cool.
Really cool.
Really cool.
And it was neat. I got to, I was getting makeup done, and Sophia Bush is sitting beside me in her chair getting her makeup done. Talking about, at that time, I think her and Chad Michael Murray were married, or just talking about Chad and just having a conversation, just talking, just hanging out. My mom got to sit in Chad Michael Murray's chair, while she was watching them film my scene. Because at that point, a few of the actors weren't in that scene. I was really in the scene with the females. So the male stars were still in their trailer. And they came in after we got done shooting and shot their parts. But it's a studio. You're in a warehouse, and there are walls constructed around you to look like a house. It's really cool. One thing I noticed, when I did extra work in the past, you're there with a bunch of people, and you're doing what you're told, and no one thinks twice about it. When you book a part and you have a role and you're talking, girls' eyes will not get off of you.
People listen.
It's really strange. It's like you're, as a young, I was probably 22, 23, and girl crazy, and
sure,
and you notice like girls you don't think would ever look twice at you will not take their eyes off you. And it's just based on you being in a different role in that moment in time.
You're just there.
Yeah. So I can see how folks that do that full time, the attention is a lot. And it just caught me off guard. It was flattering.
Yeah, of course.
You work so hard and you get told no a million times, and you get to a spot and you're like, wow,
And you're not even the lead.
No, I'm a co-star.
You're a co-star.
Yeah, I was billed a co-star, and you're not even, no, can you imagine if you're a lead? Good Lord. But I remember filming that scene. It was a lot of fun. I became really good friends with one of the stars on the show. Michael Copon played Felix in season 2, and he was, I think, Brooke Davis's boyfriend, the character Brooke's boyfriend. So him and I became really good friends and hung out in Georgia, and then we moved to LA together. And he was like, you need to go to LA. I'm going to LA. And so we go to LA together. And we don't have anywhere to live. He owns a house out there, but his agent rents it because he was living in North Carolina filming One Tree Hill. So his time on One Tree Hill was done after season 2. We moved to LA. We have nowhere to live. So we kind of couch hopped. I remember at one point, he knew a Playboy bunny. We stayed in her house. She was out of town. I never met her.
Damn.
Right, but he had access to her house. He's like, hey, we can stay here.
Hell yeah.
I know her. And it was a beautiful house. I'm like, sweet, we'll sleep on that couch. Whatever. So we did that. It was funny. Like, we would be out and about together. And just from that episode, people would recognize him. People would recognize me. Even in Atlanta, we were eating a Panera Bread one time, I think south of Atlanta or something. I think the episode had just aired. People were coming up to us. It was really cool. So there was this really small, short moment in time, where I got to experience what these people who do it full-time experience.
Right.
And that's never why I wanted. I wanted to do it because I liked acting. I liked watching people set up the lights. I liked them measuring from the tape measure, the camera lens to your nose. The focus is right. I'm really into that, the technical side of it. But I'm not smart enough to do it. So I enjoyed acting in front of it. But I enjoyed watching everything that went into it. So to be in that environment, no matter what that entailed, was just magic to me. The whole process was magic to me. So yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I co-starred on a movie on Showtime about the 9/11 attacks called Land of the Free. I don't remember.
You were in the Dumb and Dumber prequel?
Yeah, I did that. That was fun.
I've never seen that actually, and I love Dumb and Dumber.
Okay,
it's like one of my favorite comedies ever.
Well, probably the coolest part of that for me was getting to work. So Shia LaBeouf was in it, and him and I hung out a lot.
Wow.
On set. And it's funny because I don't smoke cigarettes. Back then I did, and he smoked cigarettes.
New sponsor alert, everybody. Yeah, you heard me right. New sponsor alert. This episode is sponsored by InkWell Publishers, a nonprofit publishing house that believes in the power of storytelling to shape lives, spark imagination, and leave a lasting impact. InkWell exists to support meaningful stories and amplify voices that deserve to be heard. If you're ready to share your story with the world or volunteer your time and talents to use storytelling as a platform for good, email inkwell at inkwellpublishers.com or visit their website, inkwellpublishers.org. That's INKWELL Publishers. Email them at inkwell@inkwellpublishers.com or visit inkwellpublishers.com. So you guys shared cigarettes.
Well, he was on Even Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
And all the fans from that show were hanging around set. So Shai and I would go around the back of the building and smoke cigarettes together all the time because he didn't want anybody to see him smoke. It was pretty funny. And then meeting Sherry O'Terry and Eugene Levy and Eldon Henson, which was in that movie, and he was in Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher and stuff. Being around these people and seeing them do what they do, knowing that you would give anything to be able to do what they do full time, was encouraging and inspiring. And it goes back to what I said earlier about being around Tim, being around people that are positive influence in whatever you want to do career path wise. You know, you look up to them. So that was kind of me, hanging out. And I worked on other films where I got to sit, beside Beyonce, and Fighting Temptations and be really, up close and personal with Cuba Gooding Jr. and interact with these people it was neat because you go back and you watch these films or you see interviews with them and you just remember, like you watch Radio, for example, Cuba Gooding Jr. and he plays a mentally challenged guy and, but knowing that you've spent time with him as him, and it's just amazing seeing how they can turn that on and off and be in front of that camera and be a different human and pretend. Which took me back to my childhood, pretend you're something you're not.
That is really cool, man. Man, what a journey that is.
Okay. And this is not about name dropping. I'm not trying to do that. Because I don't know any of these people.
I would hope you wouldn't.
Well, because I don't know any of these people.
The first thing I think in my head when you say, "Oh yeah, I had some roles," I'd be like, "Oh, what'd you do? Like, who'd you meet?" Like,
right. And
smoking cigarettes with Shia LaBeouf is pretty fire.
It was neat.
It's pretty cool. And this is kid Shia LaBeouf too.
Yeah,
young Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I think
not Just Do It Shia LaBeouf, not Transformers Shia LaBeouf.
No, this
before
was
Transformers.
Yeah,
years before Transformers. Was it before Holes?
I don't remember.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know what year Holes.
I don't either.
2005.
My kids liked it though, and then it may have been. It may have been because I think this was pre 205.
It might have been before Holes.
May have been.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was fun.
Do you think there's any remote chance if you bumped into Shia LaBeouf somewhere, he would know who you are?
Absolutely not. No.
Hey man, remember we used to bump cigarettes off of each other?
But I would tell him I don't smoke cigarettes, right? But you owe me a lot of cigarettes, buddy. So that's no, it was fun.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. So good times.
So, okay, so we'll fast forward a little bit some more. So you're going through the motions, you're trying, you're not getting, you're trying, you are getting, you're going through the motions of being an actor in Hollywood. Why'd you come back?
Great question. So when I moved out there, I had just finished One Tree Hill, Dumb and Dumber, Land of the Free, and I shot a BP commercial, which I had a lead role in. So when I moved out there, I got an agent for film and TV. If you weren't a Tom Cruise status, the agent I was with was the one to be with.
Okay.
Because the next tier, you're invited in. That's where the big names are. You don't get there unless you're invited in.
Okay, so they ask you if you want to be in there.
Well, that's where you're going if you're at that status,
Sure.
right? So there's no chance you're going to get in there unless you're that status.
Okay.
And if you can get in there, you get in there. So I was, of course, not an agent at that level, but I was next best level of representation. Not my talent, but the people who represented me was, best case scenario for me.
Sure.
And then I went with the biggest TV commercial agency on the planet. So I had representation from Los Angeles to New York to Atlanta, and I had a publicist, and the publicist puts you where they think you need to be when you think you need to be there to get your face and name out. And that was new to me because they would call and say, hey, there's a premiere of this film. There's a screening of this play. There's this party, and here's who's going to be there. I need you there. And when you go, you don't pay for anything. which was foreign to me too. They take care of you because their whole job is to further your career because somebody believes that somehow down the road you can make them some money, which is fine with me, right? Because it's all about.
Yeah, it's not like you're fronting any money.
No, correct, zero, and you shouldn't. So I did that, and I ended up living with a cool guy named Blair Redford. Blair Redford was my roommate in LA. Love that guy. Fun guy. He went on to star in a lot of stuff. He was on Young and the Restless. He starred in the X-Men Mutant show Gifted on Fox. Yeah. He's done all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
Really good looking guy from Canton, Georgia.
Nice.
You know, so you got two boys from the South living in LA, sharing an apartment, which we were lucky enough to be asked to be community managers for that complex.
Oh, that's
we
funny.
lived rent free in LA.
Oh, you had a best case scenario.
100%.
Wow.
The only bill we had was our Comcast cable bill, and they gave us a discount. It was $50 a month because we were property managers. Our laundry was free because we managed the building.
You guys lucked out.
We did.
Man.
So you gotta, and there's two paths you can go on when you live out there. You can go down the path that's going to lead you to self-destruction, drugs and partying and stuff. You can go down the opposite path. I remember when I lived out there, I went to church twice a week, and I surrounded myself with my best friend at the time, Trent. We worked on a movie called Kathy T together in Atlanta. Greg Sipes, who voiced Beast Boy on Teen Titans, started that with us.
Sure.
It was me and Trent and Greg. We were in a rock band together. And it won Audience Choice Best Film at the Miami Film Festival. So that's how I met that group of guys. So Trent got me, he was a good Christian guy, used to be a non-believer, became a Christian. So we all did church. We all had fun, but still kept ourselves and didn't get lost in the other side of it. So yeah, I ended up at that time getting, I'm not married, but getting married, and we were together for 15 years. But I remember at that time, we decided this is not a place to raise a family. Not in LA. There's no. I mean, you're not.
You met her out there.
I did. She was born and raised there.
Wow.
Yeah. She came back to Georgia and visited. She's like, I like it out here, and I hated it out in LA. No parking. No yards. If you didn't have a absolute ton of money, the quality of life out there was never going to compare to the quality of life you could have out here with a lot less money. And if you got kids you're raising and stuff, you want to give them the best quality of life you can.
Of course.
And I knew that I couldn't do that out there. We moved out here and raised 3 beautiful kids. And that's what brought me back here. And when I came back here, it really made me realize what I left behind. Because when I moved out there, I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving, Cartersville, I'm leaving the area, going to LA.
Doing big things.
Yeah, I lived right behind the Hollywood sign in Burbank. I mean, you couldn't get, I was 12 miles from Malibu. You could not get in the center of it any more than we were. And when I came back here, it changed my whole perspective. Like this town, Cartersville, this state, this is gorgeous. This is what it's supposed to be for me anyway. And it gave me a whole new appreciation for the area. And I've been back probably 17, 18 years now. And would I ever move? Sure. I want a house on the beach. Who don't? But right now I'm just so happy I came back, and I love it here. So that's what brought me back, starting a family.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Wow. So, I mean, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Very fun.
It was fun.
I love all that.
Well,
you had a good time.
I did.
A period of time.
Yeah.
So do you dabble at all anymore? If there's, Atlanta now is the LA of then.
Yeah. I know.
Everyone and their dog wants to film in Atlanta. They're building these giant high rises, and they're building these studios with Pinewood Studios and all these crazy studios in Atlanta. I mean, do you dabble at all still?
I don't.
You don't at all?
No, I don't. And
do you wish you did?
I never think about it, really. Like, people that I know or meet, they don't know I ever did any of that because I don't talk about it.
But the way that you talk about it, at least here with me, like, I can see the excitement in your I can hear it in your voice when you're telling these stories. And it's like, man, you're so passionate about this, especially like when you talk about the technical aspect of it. Like, you're not just there to read lines and make a lot of money. You're there because you enjoy that. if that camera's not plugged in, if that camera's not plugged in, if this dude calls out sick, if that person doesn't do their job, if you have a whole foobarred situation.
Yeah.
It takes a village to run a film production. And so you appreciate not just being in front of the camera, but you appreciate everybody doing their job to make, like when we see a movie in theaters like Oppenheimer or, you know, F1 that's come out this weekend.
Did you see that trailer? The haptic trailer?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to see it tonight.
Oh,
my parents are like, we want to go.
Text me and let me know what you think, because it's going to be great.
I'm so excited. And it's also even better timing because last night my dad was like, you want to go to a NASCAR race? So I went to the NASCAR race last night. Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Now you get to go see the movie.
Now I get to go see F1
That's
tonight.
crazy. That's good. That's good.
But you see a movie like that and you're like, man, what went into making a movie like that? And you appreciate all of the elements of it.
That's why it takes so long. Yeah. I mean, months to make one of those, and that's just production.
It takes 7 months to make a movie, and then you have 3 months of post-production.
Yeah, you got pre-production, you got the filming, then you got post. I mean, these things take forever to make.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about film and TV, unlike theaters, you don't have to remember your lines. I mean, you got to know your lines. You got to know the scene, and you don't have to remember an entire hour and a half's worth of production, is what I'm trying to say.
True.
So you get your daily sides, and the good thing about film and TV is if you mess up, you cut. And you do it again until you get it right. You know, theater, where I started, was much different. And I think that's what helped me along the way be as good as I felt like I could have been, as I felt like I grew up in the hard knocks of it, having to learn theater. And film acting is a completely different way. You don't theater act the way you film act. And I didn't know that. Like, I'm shooting a scene in the movie once, Kathy T., and I'm at a table talking to guys, and I'm leaning forward and I'm leaning back, and they're like, cut, stop. You know, we've already measured from the lens to your nose. You're going in and out of focus. I had no idea, you know, and it's that because
when you're doing theater, you don't worry about focus.
No.
There might be someone filming something, but they don't care about the focus because they're filming from a wide, you know, so they can see the whole stage.
Yeah. Well, those stupid little mistakes like I made cost money, because you got to stop, you got to reset, and that's time.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of pressure on people in front of the camera to get it right.
Sure.
And to do right by the people that are working around you behind the scenes, because the last thing they probably want to do is the same thing over and over and over and over and over again because you keep messing up.
Okay, so you get back to Cartersville, you're raising your family, you and your wife at the time, your kids, you're living the happy family life. What happens to get Southern Cove off the ground? I mean, where did that come into play? I mean, so before we get there, I mean, so you move back, what are you doing?
So I worked in retail.
Okay.
It was one of those things that I figured that I could do and move up in. I figured I was just smart enough to be able to move up in that line of work and make a living to support the family.
Sure.
And I went to college for a semester in 2 weeks, so it's not like I had a degree to fall back on or trade besides acting or something I could do without extensive collegiate training. Yeah. So that left retail. And I remember thinking all of the time I worked in retail, like, I really hate this. There's more to life than this. Like, I really don't enjoy waking up every day and being made to feel less than by the average consumer that may be having a bad day. But as you work your way through retail and work your way up the ladder, your influence on your employees becomes such that you can change their bad days into better days. And it becomes more challenging to you mentally, to where you're not running a cash register anymore. You're not managing a store anymore. You're managing financials for 20 locations and 500 employees. And I finally got to that level. And I really enjoyed it at that point, because then it's running a business.
Sure. It's less so focused on customers and the day-to-day and more big picture and like, how are we set up to do in the holidays?
Right.
How are we, how are we looking for the year? Like, you're running a business.
Yep. Do we have the right product in the right place at the right time?
Right.
Are we over ordering, under buying? All this stuff. How's payroll? Where's that?
Sure.
Anyway, all that stuff, it was kind of like the technical end of acting.
Yeah.
All that stuff triggered my interest of, okay, now we're running a business. And this is where I feel like I can be. And of course, when you get to that level and you're moving up even farther, you make more money, which is easier to live and support your family. Well, Southern Cove came in, I was working for a retailer. The culture changed. I think they may have forced retired out a senior VP,
Sure.
and that senior VP was phenomenal. What a great person that drove the culture of the company. Somebody that came into your locations, and when they came to town, you were dying to see them and get time with them because they
Sure.
were so kind and nice.
It wasn't the kind that like, oh my God, the big wig is coming.
No.
We got to polish everything.
Nope.
It's like you did that, but everyone was actually genuinely
Yeah.
excited for this person.
Right. And I was always a little cocky anyway in my ability to run good locations. I remember the CEO of that company came down once and met with me in one of my stores and was looking at a reset that the team had done and told me, this is wrong. And I said, no, it's not. And he said, yes, it is. I said, it's not. He goes, okay, Jayson, either everyone else in the company I've seen is wrong and you're the only one right, or you're wrong. I said, they're all wrong. I'm right. He goes, go get the book and break out the picture and show me that this is correct, then prove it to me. I was crapping myself because I didn't know if I was right or not. I had no idea. I just trusted the team that I had doing it,
Sure.
that they did it correctly. Because I worked closely with that particular team, and in my mind, there is no way they could have got it wrong because they were rock stars. So I get out the book and I open it up. He takes it and he's going through, he's line by line checking off everything. And he's like, you know what? Those others missed it. You're right.
Wow.
And internally, I'm like, thank you, God.
For real. Because imagine if he was just like,
Yeah.
nah, bitch.
You are wrong.
You are wrong.
Yeah.
Clean out your office. Because you don't go toe to toe with the CEO
No.
of your company
No.
unless you know for a 100,000% fact that you are right.
And that's how much trust I had in my team. But it also speaks highly of the CEO. Because that CEO was so approachable.
And he was willing to admit
Yeah.
that, like,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, he was so approachable and easy to talk to. He wasn't a guy that came in that you felt intimidated by. He's a guy you can sit down and have a beer with.
Sure.
And be like, hey, when do you promote me, dude? One of those conversations.
Wow. Okay.
The culture was fantastic. Well, that culture started to shift as people left and new people came in from other companies that didn't quite grow up in that company.
Sure.
Well, when that happened and it started going downhill, I remember I was faced with a situation. And my new boss that was over the region of the country came to me and said, I need you to work out 2 of these managers from a couple different stores. I need you to get rid of them. She rode with me once, did not like their priority list, didn't like the way they interacted with her and wanted them gone. She didn't know them. It's their first time ever checking out these stores. So I told her, I will not be doing that. These are great employees. You don't like the way they prioritize their day. That's fine. That's coachable. That's trainable. They're not to your pay grade. So they may not be to that standard. And that's something we can work on with them. She said, well, if you don't get rid of them, you won't run this district for me anymore. You can go back and work in stores. So I said, okay, all right, that's fine. Here's my laptop. Here's my 2-week notice. Don't call me. I'll be doing overnights, helping stores out where they need it. I won't be in the business in the daytime because I don't want to deal with you. Don't email me. I won't respond. So I quit. I gave my 2-week notice. I went home.
Holy hell.
Yeah. And because the way I looked at it at that point was I was not going to take food off 2 different families' tables to save mine because I knew that somehow, some way I would be okay. I didn't know how or what was going to happen, but I would be okay. But what if they weren't? And that was because of me. Had they deserved it? Absolutely. Man, I will rub my hands together and kick you on the curb if you're stealing, or if you're doing something that's...
I've heard about this.
Well, there's other ways.
Thieves.
There's other ways to get what you want. It's called working.
Well,
But they didn't deserve it. So I didn't do it. And I pulled the trigger on myself, which I did not walk into the door at home, met with a good reaction from
of course not.
the mother of my kids at that time.
Of course.
But
as anyone
no,
would have
right,
been
yeah.
treated with the same reaction.
Correct.
I mean, mine would also
Sure.
be like, what?
Right.
Respectfully, what the hell happened?
Absolutely.
Maybe not respectfully, because...
But I was miserable, too.
Yeah.
The culture had been changing quite some time. And that was the icing on the cake. That wasn't just a one-off. That was the icing on the cake. And I'm like, this is where this is going, and it's not going to get any better, obviously. So
and now you're asking me to fire people that I believe are great employees to this
100%.
business.
Oh, they'll take a bullet for you. Yeah, they're not the ones that need to go. So I went. And Dad was going through the same struggle with his company. He was second in charge of an IT company that had sold out. The culture shifted, and it made him miserable.
Isn't it crazy how much culture can make or break a job?
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
I know. And that's why I tell my employees, you're very lucky I'm never here because I'm a jerk. I'm kidding. No, no, really, that's true. You got a point. So Dad was really struggling with that. I mean, it's taking a toll on him mentally. It's taking a toll on me mentally with my, job. So he quit his job and I quit my job around the same time. And we didn't have a backup plan, but you can only take so much before it starts trashing you out mentally. And when that starts happening, that's not a good spiral to go down. And it has to get real bad before you walk away from a paycheck, real bad. And that's what him and I did. I remember we were talking and him and I were like, well, we should do something together. And, I don't remember who brought it up. He brought it up. I brought it up. It doesn't matter. But we decided to go to a warehouse that sold Amazon return pallets. And you don't know what's on those pallets. They're just cardboard boxes shrink wrapped on a pallet. And we bought the cheapest pallet we could find. I had $200. He had $200. We put in $400 and we started Southern Cove. No business loans, no investors. We bought a $400 Amazon return pallet, took it back to my garage, unboxed it, scanned all the items that looked new through Amazon to see what they were selling for. Posted them on Facebook Marketplace for sale for half the Amazon price and sold our first item, which was a stainless steel trash can. I met a lady in the parking lot of a school in Cartersville. Sold her that trash can, I think, for $40 because it was like an $80 trash can. Well, that week we flipped all the merch on that pallet and we tripled our money. So we made $1,200. So we took that $1,200, we went back the next week and bought 2 pallets. Kept $400 to run on ourselves. Bought 2 pallets. Flipped those. Before you know it, we were going to flea markets every weekend. We were meeting people from Facebook every day. We treated it like a job. We were buying a truckload of pallets at a time. His garage we had set up with shelving. Merchandise was everywhere. I had got a software program that tricked Facebook into thinking that I was not a bot, that would bump my sellable items to the top of the yard sale site's feeds every day at random times, like it would do if you went on there and commented on it. But it would do that for me. So I had this algorithm and this software program that did that, and it kept my merchandise at the top of people's feeds daily. We had spreadsheets that tracked sales. We met at his house at 8 a.m. We would meet people at gas station parking lots. We were hustling product left and right. And then finally we got tired, it's like 8 months in. People need to come to us. We're running around everywhere, flea markets and trunks of our car and gas stations, Walmart, whatever, meeting people. So we found a little storefront in Cartersville, not where we are now, 700 square feet, sellable space. And we put all that stuff in there. And we opened a store called What a Deal. That was our Facebook Marketplace name, What a Deal.
What a deal.
What a deal. And we opened that store and it looked like a hodgepodge of stuff because that's what it was. It was one-offs from Amazon pallets. And we did that for a little bit until it just bugged the heck out of us. I came from retail, so I'm very, particular on standards and presentation and branding, and it is. And you don't have that with this model. So we quickly decided we need to change our name and we need to change our model. I was sitting at Lake Winnepesaukah up North Georgia area and at an amusement park on a bench watching women. That sounds creepy.
You're checking chicks out.
I was checking chicks out for the sole purpose of figuring out what they're wearing. I want to see a pattern. I want to know if I see X amount of this brand on females, if they're carrying multiple women are carrying the same type of bag, wearing the same type of shoes. I took that knowledge back and I reached out to those companies that I saw in excess and I got accounts with them to sell their products in our store. Because I figured if I'm seeing it all over this theme park and women like to shop and I bring those brands into here, women are going to come here and shop and buy those brands.
Right. A plus B equals C.
C, yeah. Right. So I did that. And I remember the first account I set up, it was $3,500 to secure an opening order that gave you exclusivity in your zip code. So your partner next door or competitor didn't open up the same line. I didn't have $3,500. So I'm like, well, can I have 30 days to pay that back? They're like, sure. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start asking that to everybody. Well, I started getting account after account after account, net 30 terms, net 60 terms, selling the product, paying off the invoices. And I remember I always dreamed that someone would come to our store on purpose versus walking by and going, what's that? And walking in. I wanted someone to come to us with intention. And I remember the first time that happened, a wife sent her husband to our store to pick up one of those brands. And I knew that happened because he walked in the door. He goes, do you carry this brand? My wife sent me here to pick it up. I said, you came to me on purpose? And he probably looked at me like I had two heads. He's like, yeah.
Duh.
I'm like, God bless you, bud. This is the coolest moment of my life. You know, someone came to me on purpose. Well, COVID happened. And we weren't allowed to be open. You know, we had to shut down. We weren't essential.
Sure.
I went in every day and I blasted Facebook and telesales and would set product on the curb outside and pay me over the phone, you know, and business tanked. People weren't shopping. And I remember I was so just in a blah mood sitting there thinking, what are we going to do? Because the bills don't stop. There's no rent forgiveness. The utilities are there. The invoices are due. And it's a God thing because it's not a Jayson thing. I thought, let's design a shirt and let's call it Georgia Strong. And I'm going to, before I buy them, I will pre-sell them so I know how many to buy. That way I'm not out money. But I pre-sold hundreds of them with the intent on giving back 100% of the money to other local businesses that were struggling like we were during COVID, other small businesses. So I remember when we sold that and I had all that money and we ended the campaign, we had $16 in our company bank account. We had nothing. And I was giving out thousands of dollars to local businesses. But we had nothing. Gas at home was shut off and it was winter. There was no heat. I scrounged up $40 to pay the gas bill, but they couldn't take the lock off until the end of the week. So we were going to be cold for another 4 days. And I took a screw and a hammer and I busted the lock off my gas meter at home so we could have heat. And I called the gas company back and I said, I broke your lock. You know, I did pay, but you couldn't get out. I broke your lock. It's on top of the gas meter. I'm sorry, but I paid and we need heat. So it was the worst time that financially that we had ever experienced, but we're giving out. So we're giving out all this money and I knew that it would help some of them, you know, stay afloat or help them pay a bill. It was crazy. Around the same time the location we're in came open. The guy that owned the building had a second location in Blue Ridge. And he owned the building. He owned the store that was in there. He's like, I don't have to leave. You know, I don't have time to go fishing. I have 2 locations. I'm back and forth between Cartersville and Blue Ridge. I want some more time. Well, I had heard from a friend of mine that he was doing that. So I pulled in the parking lot and I said, hey, is Andy around? And he's a real country guy. He's real nice. He's like, I'm Andy. And I'm like, hey, well, you know, I want to rent your building. I'm Jayson. And he goes, I don't know you, you know, and I have a business across town and no one's ever heard of us, but had a business across town and really want to be in your spot. He's like, man, I don't know what I'm doing with the building. And I'm selling it. I don't know. I got to talk to my wife, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, well, talk to your wife. Let me know. He goes, all right, I'll let you know. Never heard from him. A week went by. Pulling his parking lot again. He's still moving stuff out. I was like, Andy, it's Jayson. You know, I want to rent your building. He's like, man, I haven't really had time to talk to my wife. I said, all right, I'll talk to you next week. So I went back and saw him again next week. I said, Andy, I want to rent your building. He goes, okay, I'll talk to my wife and we'll rent it to you. He goes, what are you thinking rent-wise? I said, well, right now I'm paying $1,000 a month for 700 square feet. His was 4,500 square feet. He goes, well, I can't do that. I said, I get it. He goes, you know, I'm thinking 4,000 a month, whatever he said. I don't remember, something high. 3,000 maybe, I don't remember. And I said, how about we tier up to that? How about we start at X amount for a couple months, go to this amount, and then we end up there. Because we're not even supposed to be open selling, so I don't know how we're even going to pay rent. And I said, by the way, I only have $16 and I cannot give you a deposit. He goes, all right, man, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. It's a God thing. He said, come in. So we came in. We opened our doors. 2020, May 1st or so. We opened up. And we were never late on rent. And within 10 months, we became a multi-million-dollar company. And we bought that building from Andy.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
No, there's no explanation for it.
Multi-million-dollar
It was crazy.
from $16 to multi-million in a few months.
Yeah, in 10 months, I remember.
Wow.
So I remember when we sold our millionth dollar, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm picking this stuff out with Dad. Like, I'm designing these hats. I'm designing these shirts. I'm picking these brands, and people want them enough to come in and buy them, and it's a big pressure to have on your shoulders, because one wrong design can cost you thousands. One wrong buy can cost you thousands. And I'm thinking, why are these people wanting to come in and buy stuff that I'm just popping out of my head and throwing out there on the shelf and picking brands or picking designing stuff on my couch, on my phone, and shooting files to companies, and they're printing them for me. And like, this is neat. Like, how blessed am I that people want to do that? That's crazy. And they did. And then they supported us. And then, so what we figured out is, well, we got to make sure we give back as much as possible. And we sponsor, and we continue to sponsor as many nonprofits and schools as we can by doing as much as we can whenever we can. That's the least we could do. So that's kind of what took us from across town, 700 square feet, $16 during COVID, to where we are now. Now, doesn't mean we don't have bad days. We have really, really bad days, and you kind of think like, why am I getting out of bed today to come in here? And then we have good days.
You have good days. Cheers.
We do have good days. Cheers. Hey, look at that. That wasn't even on purpose either.
You know what's funny about good days? Just a total pause is. They do a lot with their branding and their marketing, and they do it well. And that kind of brings me to the next partner of the podcast, Jayson. Can I tell you about them?
I want to know so bad.
I'll tell you all about them. If
Okay.
you're looking to elevate your business or your brand like Good Days, Hammerhead Creations is here to help. They offer top-tier marketing services, including social media management, website design, Google page optimization, and they just ensure your business reaches the right audience, whether it's a side hustle or your full-time grind like Southern Cove. Their expert team is ready to do anything they can to help you grow. Plus, if you're into podcasting like myself, they support podcasters and they help them grow their shows. They help them create their shows. They help them with production. They help them with everything in between. So if you're into any of that, go to hammerheadcreations.com to learn more about them, and so that one day you too can swim with the big sharks. Hammerhead Creations. So anyway.
I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
That was good.
With what?
Hammerhead Creations. You just busted that on out. I loved it.
Yeah, I saw an end and I
good.
had to promote them.
That was good.
AKA me. I am Hammerhead Creations.
My gosh. I'm swimming with the sharks.
You are swimming with the sharks.
Speaking of, I saw a shark caught right in front of me the other day.
Really?
Yeah, drug out on the beach, right like at my feet.
What kind of shark?
It was a black tip.
Oh, shit.
It was crazy. It was about 6 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of sharks like I am?
I'm afraid of just dying in general. Like, I don't want to get mutilated to death in the ocean.
No, neither do I.
Right. Like, I'm not afraid of dying because I know where I'm going, but I'm afraid of it hurting when it happens. And I think if I get eaten by a shark, that's probably going to be a little painful. Probably not as good as dying in bed.
I would love to die in bed.
100%.
I'd love to be eaten by a shark in bed because at least I'm in bed.
Oh, at least you're in bed.
At least I'm in bed.
Yeah.
Hey.
Gosh, you got a point. I love it. Well, real quick, I'll wrap up on the Southern Cove, this part of the Southern Cove story with this. I just wanted to mention where we started and kind of where we ended up for the purpose of to let people know that, things can happen that are beyond your wildest dreams, and you still can't understand why or how they happened. And what you do with that after they happen is what matters. And we still have our struggles like every small business, just because we turn into that size of a company. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't cost us a fortune to operate every month. I mean, it does. We spend a ton of money just on payroll, mortgage, utilities, to the point to where it's like, we sometimes feel like we're operating like we did back in the day. It's okay. We rely on everyone to come through that door and support us, so we stay there, because it's not cheap to do what we do and to stay where we are. And it takes that support locally from the community to keep us there. I mean, we have payroll. We're responsible for people's lives as well. So I just, everyone who's been with us on that journey from start to now, I can't thank you enough. It's meant the world to us. And, every day we wake up and thank God that we're still there. Because you never know. Tomorrow we could not be. You never know. So every day is just, we're proud to be there.
That's awesome, man. So at what point did you guys decide there was going to be a bar in Southern Cove? Was that when you got the new space and you're like, we don't know what to do with all this room? Like, or how did that, did it get to the point, what I've always wondered is, did it get to a point, maybe during COVID, maybe not, but did it get to a point where people were coming in less for merchandise? So we were like, well, we got to keep the lights on somehow. And so you guys are obviously passionate about whiskey and that whole line of things. But how did you get to the point where you're like, we're going to serve alcohol? We're going to be a retail, like whenever I describe you guys, I'm like, yeah, they're like a store, but then the back wall, there's a bar. And it's one of those, like, if you know, but like, if you're just driving through Cartersville, you don't know.
Right.
You just think Southern Cove, oh, they sell coolers and cool belts and phone cases and polos and all these things. But little do you know, if you go past all of that, there's a bar in the back.
Yeah.
How did you get there?
That's a great question. When we got into that space, the bar on the left, there's two bars in the back. The bar on the left was already there.
Okay.
Now, Andy he was friends with the guys who owned Sweetwater.
Oh, wow.
And I believe they had a cool agreement. Andy served Sweetwater and I think he was able to hunt on the guy's land or fish on the guy's land or something, cool. And so it was a cool relationship they had. Well, that structure on the left was there. We didn't have the ability to sell alcohol in there. And Andy even offered, he's like, I'll tear it down if you want the floor space. And Dad and I are like, no, just leave it. No, we'll figure something out. Back then I was toying with, do we do a craft soda bar? How do we use that space with that structure? Because it was cool looking. 3 months in, we just applied for a license to sell beer and wine. And we're like, well, we have the structure, let's use it. We never intended on having a bar and a retail store. Dad and I aren't even drinkers, really. We very rarely ever drink. Well, if I go out to eat, if I'm going to dinner, I'm not ordering a drink. I'm getting Coke Zero. That just wasn't, and we didn't have anything against it. It just wasn't something we ever did.
Right. You just weren't big drinkers.
Right. Like, I don't even like beer.
Neither do I.
I can't.
Well, I'm allergic to it.
Okay. Well,
Which lucks out.
Yeah. Well, my taste buds don't like beer.
Yeah.
But we carried 50, and it's not about me. It's about the customer.
Exactly.
So, I never got into it, but we thought, let's use that space for what it was. And when we started, we couldn't serve anything but craft beer. Had to be under a 2 million barrel production a year to be considered craft. So your Bud Lights, your, Mick Ultras, we couldn't sell it.
Sure.
It was against the ordinance. Well, we went back to the city and we requested the ordinance change to allow us to sell all beer. Because why not? And I think the reason at the time was, well, we don't want to turn into a 50-cent beer night. So by selling cheap beer. So after a little bit of education on, it costs way more than that per pour for me to pour it. So if I sold it at that, I'm giving it away and giving you money. And the ABV on craft a lot of times can be higher than the ABV on domestic that's not craft. So it's really there's no lose here. If anything, they're going to get a little less ABV on that Mick Ultra than they would that double IPA that's crafty. So they finally allowed us to sell all beer. And we did that for a while. My passion has been cocktails, like liquor, because it's like cooking. I can't really cook. I don't know what I'm doing. I can crack an egg. I can microwave something. I can throw a pizza in the oven.
Oh, yeah, me too,
I can follow instructions, but that's really about it.
Yeah, preheat to 400 degrees. I can do that.
Right. Yeah.
Match that plus button.
100%.
Yeah.
All day. But I look at cocktails as like you're creating something from multiple things and making it taste completely different and hopefully amazing. And it's like chemistry. You're mixing stuff. It's science. You got the exact right amount of this and that, and this with this is going to make it taste like this over here. And if this is a little off, then what can I add to it to make it taste better? I was always interested in cocktails. I bartended when I was 18. I liked it. So we went to the city and asked for a license to sell
Liquor.
Distilled spirits and liquor. We're not a restaurant. So I pulled up the ordinance that allowed that for restaurants. And I pulled up my ordinance in a blank Word document and I rewrote it. And I took it to the city and I said, here's what we want to do. And the alcohol control board was like, absolutely not. I said, okay, but at that point I knew I had the option to go to council and ask council. The alcohol control board is a suggestion to council. They're a recommendation to council. So their opinion matters, but they are not the end all be all on the final decision. Council is. So I went to council and, they're like, no. So I called the city clerk and I said, please do me a favor, put me on council's agenda if you have to every time they meet until I hear a yes. Because I just don't understand why it's a no. It doesn't make sense. So they did. And I was on council's agenda multiple times. And finally they said yes. It was great. It was a great day. We invested probably $60K up front building that bar ourselves with a friend of ours help, stocking the alcohol, trained again in mixology from mixologists from America and France as well. Went to Kentucky, became executive bourbon stewards, which is like a sommelier for wine, but for bourbon and whiskey. Went to school up there for that and really wanted to educate ourselves as much as possible in what we were doing. Because if we're going to invest money and time in it, we're going to do it right. And that's why you see us measure when we pour. We don't free pour. Free pour looks cool. Tastes like crap, right? Because if you don't have that measurement down, that science of equal parts this and that, or whatever, it's not going to be as good as it could be. And I don't want someone coming into my store going, I want Jayson to make my drink because they make it better. No, I don't. My staff makes it just as good as I do because I write the instruction sheet, they follow it, and they measure everything to a T. And it will taste the same no matter who makes it every time because it's about consistency and being well balanced. So if you got a cocktail and you just taste alcohol or you just taste sugar, it's not what you want. You want a cocktail that's blended and it tastes like a beverage, a drink where you're not getting a bunch of alcohol up front or sweetness or sugar. And I think that we do a really good job with making the best cocktails we can make based on the structure we created on how to make them. Going through that headache with trying to open up that, I remember the head of the alcohol board telling me, he's still the chairman, if it was up to me, you wouldn't even serve beer. You wouldn't even serve alcohol. And that intimidated me a while back. Well, going back, again in front of them, I didn't care at this point. I'm like, you're a board of facts. You're not a board of opinions. Let's stick to the facts. I don't care about your opinion, what you would or wouldn't do. I want you to look at what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, what's hurtful, what's not hurtful. Let's make a decision based on what's best for the town and community based on facts, not your opinions or feelings. Well, he didn't like that, but I don't care.
I was going to say, I didn't think he would, but that's how I think.
Right.
Let's take the feelings out of everything and just look at the facts.
Right. And we have good people on that board. We have great people on council.
Sure.
That motivated me to run for council because I remember thinking as that man sat in that seat and said those words to me, he was looking down and he wouldn't even look his head up at me. He was looking over his glasses while his head was down, making me feel this big. I remember thinking that if I was ever in that kind of seat of power in decision making and influence, I would wash your feet, not expect you to wash mine. And that is no way to treat somebody. So I ran for council and there was 5 of us running for 2 seats. I did not expect to win, but I won. And I've been on council serving now for going on 2 years, but that was my motivation because I don't like politics. I can't stand them. Want nothing to do with politics. I have not had good experiences, and I don't think most of us have, with either side of the coin on that. I didn't run for the love of being a politician. I ran for the love of people. And that sounds political, but it's not, because I felt belittled in a moment when I should have felt served, and that shouldn't be the case. Yeah.
Very well put.
Yeah.
Very well put. Yeah. There's a consistency throughout this story today, like where you're talking, your people is at the center of everything.
Yeah.
Like the people on set, the people doing the job, the people bartending, the people, your customers. You're a people person. You're a social butterfly. You're a people person. You love to be around people. You love hearing people's opinions and stories and experiences and stuff. So there's just like this, and there's another consistency that I've picked up on a few times. You're very consistent. You said, and it speaks to me because when I was growing up, like whenever, my parents had one rule really, and they said, if you're not an athlete, you're going to work. And so I wasn't an athlete. So I've had a job since I was 14 and never had not had a job. And the way my dad taught me was like, all right, you can apply online like everybody else, but you're going to apply online tonight and you're going to go to that store tomorrow morning and you're going to say, hi, I'm here to talk to the hiring manager. And when they say, oh, the hiring manager's not in today, say, okay, I'll come back tomorrow. And you're going to keep going back until you see the hiring manager, because you could go back for 50 days and on the first day see the hiring manager. And when you talk to the hiring manager, he's going to go back and talk to his other employees after he's done talking to you. And someone's going to say, that kid's been here for 50 days trying to find you for this job.
Wow.
And when they're looking at that stack of applications, they're going to pull your name and say, well, this is the kid that showed up 50 days in a row.
Right.
50 is dramatic, but this is the kid that showed up 2 weeks in a row
Right.
to try to get this grocery bagger job.
Yeah.
Let's hire this kid. He's got initiative.
Just show up.
Just show up. And that speaks to me when you say like, Andy, I want to rent your building. And he's like, nah, man, okay, I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Because he probably like under his breath, at least in that first interaction, he was probably like, okay.
Yeah.
And then you came back.
Right.
And said, Andy, I want to rent your building. And he said, nah, man, I still haven't talked to my wife. And you're like, all right, I'll see you next week. And he was like, man, maybe his head turned a little. And he was like, man, this guy's serious.
Yeah.
And then you come back the third week. Hey, man, I want to rent your building. Okay, fine. I talked to my wife. She's cool with it.
Yeah.
And then the same thing. I'm going to get on your agenda every day until I hear a yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Not
a lot of people have that.
Well, I think I think that I'm okay hearing no if the no makes sense and it's justified. I think no can be healthy in certain situations.
The right amount of no is okay.
Yeah, I'm not built to take no if I firmly believe that a yes is where it needs to be, and I will do everything I can to get to that yes. I may not get to it, but it won't be for the lack of trying.
So you wear a lot of hats, Jayson. I mean, you're wearing co-CEO. Is that how you guys do it? Is you're kind of co?
Yeah, we're co-owners.
Okay,
yeah, so
co-owners.
we Dad and I run.
I know
the company.
titles are
Yeah. Like like yesterday I was co-janitor. That was a fun. I'm not. I mean, I wish I was joking about particularly yesterday, the situation I ran into. It was a really shitty situation there I ran into. Yeah, but co-janitor yesterday. Most days co-founder. But yeah, that's what the Dad and I co-own the company.
Do you think that if you hadn't had that retail experience, you guys would be in the business that you're in right now?
No, we do something else.
Yeah,
we would have been doing something else.
When you guys were experimenting with like, okay, we're going to do something together, was there anything else that was like, okay, well, what a deal is here, but this other thing is right here, and you had to pick between the two? Was there any other thing that you guys would have remotely gone into?
No.
It was going to be retail?
Yeah, it's just what we were doing, from the Amazon pallets. Mm-hmm. We were buying and selling. And that's all retail is. I mean, you buy stuff and you turn around and resell it.
Amazon is retail if you think about it. I mean, it's not in-person retail,
right. But it's all retail.
It's all retail.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that. Go and buy Amazon used return pallets.
Yeah. And
where do you do that at?
Well, there's the place we went to, there's no longer there, but there's different places around you can do it. You just got to find it. And not every product on the pallet's used. Like if it was used, we wouldn't resell it. Sure. Like we would only resell the stuff that was new. Like someone gets something in, they change their mind, or they open the box and they're like, this is not what I wanted, and they send it back. That's the kind of stuff we would buy. And we would turn around and resell that stuff. If we got something on that was less than perfect, we wouldn't resell it.
What's been your favorite part of this journey? So what I was trying to get at earlier with like, you wear several hats. I mean, you're a dad, you serve on council, you run Southern Cove with your dad. Some days when you're in the thick of it, when you're busy, you're a bartender, you're a janitor. I mean, out of all of those things that you're doing and you're so involved with the community, I mean, everybody knows Southern Cove. And when I moved to Cartersville 2 years ago, people were like, have you been to Southern Cove? Like,
that's so crazy to hear.
Dude, that's why like when I approached you initially about doing this, you gave me the same reaction that you gave me when you got here, and like, oh, I'm, self-deprecate a lot.
I just don't, when you're inside four walls or inside your, being the building, or inside your own business, inside your own head, you don't ever ever, I think, see what other people see from the outside. And I think that can be a good thing too, because I think it protects you a lot. You know, a lot of people may think one way of you and you may not see that. And well, that keeps you going throughout the day. I may not want to know. And I don't think it's self-deprecation. I think it's more of a childlike view of, you know, this is what I'm focused on. This is what's in front of me. This is what I'm seeing and this is what I'm doing. And to take a second and ever think about, you know, well, how is that perceived on the outside? There's not a lot of time for that. And then you can drive yourself crazy thinking it like, you know, I want to be liked. I don't spend enough time caring whether I'm liked or not. I think I spend all of my time worrying about, are we going to be here tomorrow? Are my kids going to be taken care of? And the freedom that owning your own business gives you is a different type of freedom than working for someone else. Working for someone else is a guaranteed paycheck. I trade that guaranteed paycheck for if I need to go to my kids' play or if I need to do A, B, or C, I can go do that 99.9% of the time. And I pay for that freedom because Dad and I pay ourselves very modestly. We try to keep as much money in the company as possible.
Sure.
And I know that I can make twice or three times what I pay myself now. But I look at the difference in that cost as I'm paying that towards my freedom.
Sure. I love that. I love that. So, I mean, without like prying into it too much, I mean, what's next? I mean, you like I said, you wear a lot of hats. You're involved with the city. You're involved with the community. You do a lot. Of course, you're doing Southern Cove. I mean, would you guys do another location of Southern Cove? Would you open up a bar on its own? I mean, have you guys talked about doing more? And it's just a matter of when and where it makes sense and when it works, you know, when lightning strikes and you're just waiting, or are you just guys happy with Southern Cove right now and you're going to just...
I don't think we're ever happy with it. I don't think we're ever satisfied.
I think that's the entrepreneur life though.
Every day I wake up and feel like I'm failing. And that is not a saying just to say it. That's the God to honest truth. Every day I wake up and feel like I'm failing. And I tell people I wake up every day unemployed too. I wake up every day with no job until the first person comes in and buys something. Mm-hmm. And then maybe enough people will come in and buy something to where I justified my paycheck and keep the lights on. But to wake up every day and feel like you're failing is a hard burden to carry. But it's true. It's, you know, I beat myself up. Why haven't I designed new hats yet? Why haven't I designed new shirts yet? Why is the designs on that particular article still there and not updated yet? And then I beat myself up. It's not because I'm lazy or don't have the time. It's because I don't feel at times creative enough to do that. And then I feel like a failure. So, you know, there are times where I'm like, oh my God, this is a great idea. Let me jot that down. I'll go throw out a design on my couch. I'll shoot it to a graphic company. They'll print it. I'll sell, you know, $10,000 worth of shirts with that design on it. Or I'll throw out a design and I won't sell it because the design sucks. But in my head, it was a good idea. Yeah. You know, so to answer your question about what's next, I don't know. We've had some talks. We've had a franchise company approach us in the past about franchising. Where it becomes difficult for our model is every city is so specific on what they allow and don't allow. And Southern Cove really only works as it is, which is a unique store with gifts and apparel that has a bar, right? Beer, wine, cocktails, because that's what makes us different. But if a city won't allow that combination because of ordinances, then it becomes a hurdle to franchise.
Sure.
Then someone can't buy into it and put it where they want it. So it's a complex model, and our product changes all the time. We don't carry the same thing every day, year in, year out, just bringing the new styles of it. We constantly experiment with brands. How is this performing in the square footage it's sitting? We look at sales per square foot. Is this taking up real estate and not making money? What do I need to get rid of and put in its place to justify its rent to sit in that space on my floor? And that's a constant revolving door. And when if it was a sandwich shop, I'd franchise it in a heartbeat. You're getting the same ham, you're getting the same bread. I can make a ham sandwich the same way in 60 different locations. I cannot do this the same way in 60 different locations unless I'm in those 60 different locations all the time. Or the cities happen to fall in alignment with allowing us to do what we want to do with both, you know, the model.
Sure.
So it's a little difficult. So I don't know the answer to that question. Would we like to? Yeah. Is it harder than the average bear? Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. Our model's a little complex.
Sure. Would you guys say that your main It is the main selling point to you guys is the retail plus bar?
Yes.
Or is it bar plus retail?
No, we're a store with a bar, not a bar with a store.
Okay.
We want people to know that, kids come in there, their families, and
Sure.
that's why we have ices. That's why we sell Dippin' Dots. My kids, come in there. I want the kids to be able to sit beside their parents at the bar, drink an icy, eat some Dippin' Dots. If one of the parents wants to have a beer, they can be a family.
Sure.
And it's a family
It's
environment.
a place for everyone.
Yes, and we're not open really late. We're not where you end. We're where you start. And if the night progresses and you want to end somewhere else, by all means do it. But we close at 9 on Fridays and Saturdays, 6 every other day. And we are a bar for people who want to go to a bar that don't want to go to a bar. If you're a female and you're by yourself, you don't have to come to our store and worry about our bar sitting there and getting harassed or picked up, because it's not that crowd. We're not where you end up. We're your mid journey, or we're your start point. And we position ourselves that way because the environment we want to keep is family.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Jayson, there's a point in every conversation I have with my guests where
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate doing that. I'm such a jerk.
Thanks.
You asked me the best part about doing what I've done, and that's working with my dad. The coolest thing I've got to do is work with my dad. And we may not see eye to eye on everything, but we don't fight. And if he messes up, I'll take a percent away, and I may be 51% owner. He'll be 49. If I screw up, he'll take a point away from me, and he's 51, I'm 49. Or if there's a difficult situation I don't want to deal with, I'll give him a point of equity. I'm like, hey, now you're the full owner. Go handle it. I'm out. So we have a really good relationship. We have fun. We love each other. And my mom helping out. My kids are employed there too. That's the best part of this journey for me. Not the really good times, not the really bad times, or the in between. Getting to do this with them is the best part. Your turn. Sorry.
No, that's beautiful, man. It's a family business. That's another thing I think people love is like, oh yeah, it's Jayson and his dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's so cool. Like I had no idea until I actually talked to you that it was, a family operation with your mom running around and helping. Yeah. And, it's a family operation. And I think, again, with people loving to support people love supporting small family businesses as well. So that's really cool that you guys have that special. And I'm sure it's over time, it's just increased not increased, that's not the right word, but it's strengthened you and your dad's relationship. I mean,
sure.
You guys have gone through having $16 in your bank account to becoming a multi-million-dollar business together. That's a bond.
And then sometimes back to $16. It's up and down.
That's a bond that not a lot of people have with their parents. And that's just really cool, man. I love that for you guys.
Thank you.
But there does come a point in every conversation I have with my guests that I ask them just a small handful of questions that kind of bring it all back. We just talked about your story from acting to bartending to retail to squaring off against your CEO and squaring off against your director that's telling you got to fire people, or you're going and you said, I'm going. You've been through all of that. But now I want to know who you are just as a guy, as Jayson. Like when you leave here, I want to know what kind of guy you are. So the questions are very first date kind of questions, but they just kind of let me get to know you as a person.
Well, I'm not putting out, Logan. Well, I might.
We'll get you a couple trash cans. And,
we'll see.
Well, before I even ask that, the trash can, is that an original drink or is that something you guys have learned along the way?
No, we learned along the way.
Okay.
And
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, well, Red Bull, we partner with them. And it was one of those things where like, hey, if you use our drink in a cocktail, then, we give you all this swag, you get better prices on Red Bull. And so I just did some research and I found a concoction that just was like a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try it. And I tried it. I'm like, this thing tastes good.
Is it popular?
Yeah.
I know that Rich orders them.
Yeah.
And I know that I order them. But do people order them?
People order them. And then you can mix your Red Bull flavors like watermelon. Or it turned out to be a really interesting thrown to get. Trash can's a really good name of it because it's like everything in the bin. But it tastes really good. And the Red Bull makes it really cool.
I was talking on the phone with my brother on the way over here, and he was asking like who the guest is today. I was like, oh, he's got Southern Cove. I was like, man, he's coming into town next week to visit for the 4th. And I was like, dude, I got to bring you to Southern Cove and get you a trash can. He was like, what the hell is a trash can? And I was like, don't worry about it. You'll just have one and you won't regret it. And he was like, all right, I'm excited. But yeah, I love the trash can. So thank you for serving. So yeah, are you ready for these rapid fire questions, my friend?
Bring them on.
What is your favorite movie?
Cinderella Man and The Greatest Showman are tied for top Favorite movie.
Musical guy. I never.
Well,
I guess with the theater and the.
So, and it's not about the musical portion of it. You know what it's about? Like, well, Cinderella Man's Russell Crowe.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, and that's
movie.
that's during the Great Depression and based on the true story of James Braddock. And The Greatest Showman, of course, is that movie. Everyone knows that as well. I like stories about people who came from lower than nothing and created their own path to become something bigger than themselves that benefited others besides themselves. And I think that both those movies are a great representation of that.
I agree. What was your first job ever? First time you collected a paycheck?
Lifeguard at Whitewater.
There you go.
I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah, you're lifeguard / janitor.
Damn.
It's the hardest thing.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jason, you get to organize a music festival.
Okay.
And you are picking your 3 headliners. Who are your 3 headliners of choice?
The Lumineers.
Okay.
Or
good group.
Yeah, love that band. I like Need to Breathe. Great band as well. I've really gotten into, and I've never been a country guy, except when I was little. I saw Randy Travis in concert. I grew up listening to country, loved it. But, as an adult, but I've really gotten into Zach Brown, and I like the stories he tells and the way he tells them.
He's a great storyteller.
Oh, you're not kidding. Captivating.
And his music, it unites people.
Yeah. So there you go. I think that's it. You got the Lumineers, Need to Breathe, and Zach Brown.
A little bit of variety for everyone.
Yeah, I'm buying a ticket.
Yeah, I am too. That sounds like a fun show. On a day that you're not working, which I'm sure in some capacity is few and far between, whether you're on council or at Southern Cove or just being a dad, because that's a job in and of itself.
Yeah, full time.
How do you take care of yourself? How do you recharge on a day that is dedicated to you?
I usually do that by mowing the grass or cleaning the house. And it sounds funny. It sounds like more work, but it's things that I can do that I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I just do them in the background while I'm thinking about other things or listening to music. I built a home theater downstairs, and I love going to the movies. So now I get to go to the movies at home and not have to worry about people sitting in front of me playing on their cell phone. So I enjoy winding down doing that.
Yeah, I love a movie night.
Man.
Damn.
Yeah. That's a fun room.
Dang.
Yeah. And then
I'd love to see it sometime, dude.
Yeah, no,
that sounds awesome.
You're invited over.
I'm a movie nerd, so I'd love to nerd out about movies with you.
Yeah, so am I. It's a fun place. And so that, that really, I wish I could say, oh, I like to, crochet a blanket or something. There's nothing relaxing that I feel like I'm sitting around watching TV and not doing anything. I feel like I'm failing at something. So at least I can do is get the yard mowed, the house clean if I'm not working on something.
There you go. There you go. What's some of the best advice you've ever been given that stands out to you every day?
That's a good one.
I know we talked about the consistency thing, just showing up,
Yeah.
So that's a really good one if you can't think of anything.
No, there's a lot of stuff. The trouble taking no, settling, and I mean settling like, if you're doing something that doesn't overjoy you and fulfill you and make you happy, and you're just doing it to get by, but you hate it, change it. I think Steve Jobs said something that was pretty interesting, that the world, everything we see was created by people no smarter than you. They just hit on something and found a way around something else to make that happen. And maybe there's no idea that's floating around, but maybe it's okay, I have a passion to do this. Well, how do we turn this into a living? And maybe that passion is having more time with your family. Well, what can you do for a living that you're passionate about to get more time with your family? So I, never settle and never think that you're not smart enough to do anything you want to do. I am proof. I can't spell worth a flip. I dropped out of college after a semester, and I'm not the smartest, but I'm smart enough to know I would rather be broke and happy than loaded and miserable.
Yep. Very well said. What's your biggest fear?
I think my biggest fear is, I'm not scared of failing. I think everyone needs to fail, and failure is a good thing. It teaches you a valuable lesson. it's important to fail, and I failed a lot, but it's what you do, in that moment. Do you give up? Do you try something different? I think my greatest fear is that I will lose the ability to feel like I have the freedom that I currently have. Now, it doesn't mean I don't work my butt off, and it doesn't mean I'm not financially responsible for an obscene amount of things every month, having that business and, personal bills too.
Sure.
That stress to me is worth the freedom to be able to be here with you today, or go see my kids at an award ceremony, or spend time with one of them in the middle of the week when I should be punching a clock. My greatest fear is losing that.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it takes for me to keep it. If I can at all keep it, that freedom, I'll do whatever I can to make sure I keep that.
Awesome. And lastly, Jayson, what is your main motivator? What pushes you? What is your morning drive?
Man, I love it. I think that when you're responsible for little humans, that they see and hear a lot that you may not know they see and hear, especially with social media and stuff. I think my morning drive is I want my kids to see that their dad woke up and did the best that he could for them and himself. And I want them to take that with them as they grow and say, okay, well, I can do whatever I want to. If I want to do this, I can do this. If I'm doing something and I don't like it, I can make a change, and it will be hard, but I've seen it go from hard to better because of dad. And also for people to see that, the most important thing is I love my kids. I do it for my kids. I love the Lord, do it for the Lord. And that, all in all, my only want when I wake up in the morning is that I go to bed feeling like today was a good day. I did a good job as a dad, and I did a good job as a business owner.
I love it. Jayson, now I want to give you the place to, tell the people how to find and support Southern Cove.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, no, thank you, Logan, for that. We are in the center of downtown Cartersville. Blessed to have the best location we could ask for, right in the parking lot of the train depot. 39 South Public Square is where we sit. You cannot miss the building. There's a 30-foot lighted sign that says Southern Cove on the front. And you can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook at the Southern Cove. We try to do some fun posts. Sometimes we post product, but a lot of times I like to post just fun stuff because the content that people are interested in are other people. I can post a T-shirt all day, but who cares really about the T-shirt or the tumbler or the cocktail? It's the people behind it, Sure. So check us out online. At least kind of get a feel of who we are, what we do, and know that everything we do with a servant-driven heart. We love our employees and we love our town.
Yeah. Very well said. Jayson, dude, this was a ton of fun for me to be able to finally get to know the story behind. It seems like one of Cartersville's staples. You guys, ever since, we've only lived in Cartersville for a couple of short years, and when we got here, it was like, well, you got to go to Southern Cove. There's like 5 businesses I can think of, like off the top of my head, that are iconic in Cartersville, and even just Bartow County in general. And Southern Cove is one of those businesses.
That blows my mind to hear.
So, I think everyone thinks it, man. You guys are doing a good thing. Again, like the retail, the products are great. They speak for themselves. Your staff speaks for themselves. Working or getting to go in and see either you or your dad or both is such a gift. And I just think that Cartersville loves you more than you think. So keep doing what you're doing, man. It's an honor to know you, and it's really cool to be a buddy. And thank you for doing this, Jayson.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. What a cool time we got to spend together.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
So thankful for it.
Absolutely. And anytime, listen, we'll get together in the store and do this after hours one night.
That's fine.
We can talk about whatever you want.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, my friend Eddie runs the Rockin' Shop, in downtown.
Oh, I've never been in there.
It's a record store. So I want
to go in there.
Well,
but I just never have.
I like to call it the second coolest store in town because, of course, we give it.
Of course, you were.
Well, you were right. But we started our business as neighbors in that small, tiny space I used to be in. Then I moved to downtown. Then Eddie moved to downtown in the Rockin' Shop. So there's a lot of banter between us online, picking on each other.
But it's all in fun.
Oh, yeah. Like when I did Dancing with the Stars, I posted naked with his Rockin' Shop banner over my back, covering my butt, with my pants around my ankles. because I knew that that would get a lot of views and it would plug Dancing with the Stars to raise money for the charity. And it would plug his business because of me doing something stupid. And it also was me picking at him by having my naked butt on his flag, on his banner that I gave back to him.
Cool.
So what he did in return to embarrass me, he printed those pictures out, had me autograph them, and was selling them for charity. So I don't know. There's probably those pictures floating around somewhere.
But guys, again, so I am going to throw the social profiles for Southern Cove in the description of the episode so that if you're interested in finding out more about them, you can go and check out their profiles, get directions to their location, and go and enjoy yourself some Dippin' Dots, maybe snag a cool polo or a cool hat while you're there, and maybe get a trash can if you're feeling a little frisky. But again, thank you to Jayson for choosing your morning drive to tell his story and Southern Cove's story. Like I said at the top, guys, make sure on whatever platform you're listening on, hit subscribe, hit follow, do whatever you got to do to make sure you can hear fun conversations like the one that me and Jayson had here today. Follow on social media at Your Morning Drive, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.